Hello from sunny Melbourne. It's a beautiful autumn day. A great day to be locked up at home. We're not being able to go anywhere. So I've taken the opportunity. I'm actually on 5 weeks holiday. I've taken the opportunity to start building the MN&S Highline. So I'll show you what I've been up to. Okay, this is the part of the baseboards that I've started construction. There's L girders provide the under support. There's 2x1s running across about every 500mm roughly, and there's 13mm ply. I think it was 13mm ply on top. So this is LeJeune steel, the major industry on this board, but there's also going to be Richfield yard, which is this track here. Richfield yard was an home insulation company. It still exists according to Google, but it's no longer located here. So the Highline comes in from Richfield. There's a switch just here where my finger is. One track goes straight ahead and up a slight gradient. There are some buildings located along here. I don't believe they were rail served, but I could be wrong, so if anybody can fill me in, that would be great. There was buildings on this side as well, which I do think were rail served, so I'm planning on building all of them at some stage. The only vehicles I've ever seen in photos appear to be 65-foot Milgons, which I assume were ex-LeJeune and had been moved aside while I was switching. The track comes in where that second hole is. There's a curved point. On the prototype, it's a straight. I keep saying points. That's because that's what the terminology in Australia, but they're switches for you guys. So there's a curved switch here. The prototype is a straight switch, but to save space, I changed it to a curved switch. The tracks come around, they divide. I noticed last night looking at some photos that this track actually went beyond the 90 degrees and then did a bit of a kickback, separated the tracks a little bit more through the building. The big low building across here that where they unloaded the 65-foot Milgons. I assume inside the building there's a overhead crane that lifted the materials out into the rest of the building, where they were manufactured into building components, etc., bridge components, whatever they were making. There's room for two 65-footers on each track out the back of the building, one on each inside the building, and you quite often see photos with a couple of gondolas sitting outside. You won't be able to get as many on this, but the prototype, I think there was space for 10 vehicles. Won't quite get to that, but it would look awfully crowded with 10. But usually there's 3 or 4 in the plant, so we can easily cope with that. The Richfield yard siding is about half the length of the prototype, but the only photos I've seen, there's been maybe 2 box cars, 40-foot box cars sitting in the siding, and they should fit quite nicely in front of the buildings there. In this area here, there's a big concrete pad that they stored steel and other things on. So I'm planning on making that. There's a couple more buildings. One underneath the drill there, or the screwdriver. That's now Leonardo's basement, which is some sort of community group where kids come in and make stuff. And there was another building in this area here that was some sort of small industry. I'm not quite sure what. I don't think they were rail served, but again, I could be wrong. I'd be happy to hear. And that was a small brick building. That's like a 1960s era brick building, I'd say. These buildings, there's 3 buildings over here. They're wooden structures. The building along here is a brick building that's sort of stepped as it goes down the grade. There's some sort of large rock right here that I couldn't work out where people were taking photos from, and I'm pretty sure that the guys used to climb up on that rock and shoot over the fence into the industry. So I'll be modelling that. There's a fence line that runs in, the gate's just across here. It steps up and then runs up to the end of the buildings here. Down this end, there's another part of the LeJeune building here. A car park out the front, which I intend to model. And they had a large tower crane that operated in the yard before they built a permanent structure, and that tower crane will be based back here somewhere. I've got a model, Kibri, I think it is, a Kibri model to build up into that. It's not exactly right, but it's fairly close. I think it'll look the part once it's finished and a few mods have been done. So that's the LeJeune Steel and Richfield yard complex, for want of a better word. I'll keep you up to date. I haven't built the other 2 switches for this yet. They're going to be number 5 fast track points. I've purchased the jig and all the bits to go with it, but I haven't built any points for a few years, so that's maybe my next project while in lockdowns, is to knock out a few points. Anyway, keep safe everybody, make the most of this modelling time that we all seem to have, and we'll catch up later.